Let's do it, guys. Let's talk about airports. Let's talk about our home away from home. All right, perfect. So, guys, talking about airports, I know most of you know the difference, right? What is an airport? What is a landing strip? What is an airdrome? What is an airfield? So, I want to start with the definitions. Everybody who knows me knows that I love definitions. I love talking about definitions. Now it's perfect. I love talking about definitions because if we can define something very simply, it shows that we know what we are talking about. So let's start with the definitions here. Definition of an airport. Basically, an airport is a place where aircraft operate. That's it. When I talk about aircraft, I mean aircraft, airplanes, helicopters, and whatever flies. So let's say that aircraft will always need a safe area to operate, and these areas must be big, clear of obstacles, and with the necessary infrastructure to support air operations. An airport consists of a landing area, which is an open space including at least one active runway or a helipad, and for aircraft to take off and land. I'm gonna mention this in a while. There are also many utility buildings such as control towers, hangars, and terminals. All right, so what is an airport? An airport is basically a designated area for aircrafts for aircrafts to operate. And to have an airport, we actually need an area, an active runway. We need a terminal. We need facilities, and of course the hangars to park, store, or even fix the airplanes. Okay. Um, this is something I want to mention. Talking about English here, participants is enabled transfer part. Talking about English here, this is something I want you all to have in mind, and these are the most common mistakes I see: for and to. All right, so normally there is a sentence that it becomes very easy when we understand. A good way for you guys to a good way for you guys to study here. For people, to verb. All right. Let's create a sentence so you guys can fix this. So you guys can have this fixed better. So let's say for pilots to fly. For people to verb. All right. Well, I need to get. I need to go to the airport for me to prepare the flight. For him to prepare the flight is better. So we always use for, people, to, and verb. All right. So we need an active runway for aircraft to operate, to take off, to land. All right. Let me open up everything here. So airport is an area that is big, clear of obstacle, and with all the necessary infrastructure. We have many different types of airports. We have international airports, regional airports, domestic airports, and we also have the simpler ones, which are the airfield and airdrome. They use it to have a question about this in the tests. I haven't seen it in a while, but they use it to ask what is the difference between an airport, an airfield, and an airdrome. Basically, an airport will be an airfield or an airdrome. Since the airport has all the facilities and the airdrome doesn't have facilities to embark or disembark passengers and cargo. It's much more simple. So an airfield and airdromes are very simple since they don't have passenger terminals, security, and its infrastructure is mostly used by flight schools, air charters, executive, and regional air companies. I know you guys know this. Let's focus on the vocabulary, all right? And an airfield normally has a landing strip, a parking area, and some hangars. What is a landing strip? It's the same thing as a runway, all right? It's the same thing as a runway. So this is a landing strip. So an airdrome will be an airfield. Will normally have a landing strip, parking area, and some hangars. No support for passengers, mostly pilots and aircraft owners. So it's very small. It's regional. The reason most people prefer this is because it's easier to operate. So it's perfect for a flight school. For example, you're not gonna see a flight school operating in JFK, for example, or in Guarulhos, in Lisbon Airport, for example. They'll always choose the smaller airports because it's cheaper, easier, and it's better to manage the traffic. You do not want to have a Cessna 152 and an A350 in the same traffic pattern. That would just be crazy, right? And now let's talk about airports. Airports are airdromes. They're the same thing as airfield, but with service facilities. All right, Captain, guys, facilities. I'm gonna write Portuguese here, but I'm not gonna speak Portuguese today. All right, these are facilities, and so airports may have the possibility apron, taxiways, air bridges, air traffic control centers, passenger facilities like lounges, restaurants, and restrooms, and also emergency services. So basically, we need an airport when we want to provide operations for the public. Easy work, guys. Definition here. Send me a go ahead or something just so I can see if you guys can follow me. Go, 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 go. Let's go. Let's talk about the airport areas now. So this is what I want to do now. I'm gonna be very brief, very precise in some definitions here. And my basic goal will be I'm gonna talk about an area of the airport, the purpose, and the definition. That's it. So we're gonna talk about the terminal, the runway, the control tower, the apron, and everything. I just want to make a full breakdown of the airport because my goal, of course, is not to teach you guys about airports. It's not to teach you guys the definition that you have you have been in contact with for the last 20 years, maybe. My goal is to help you put everything into words. How do you explain it? How do you talk about it? Because when we are in an interview, when we are in a test, in the proficiency test, for example, the pilot's proficiency test, for example, it's not enough to know the topic. Oh, but I know what is an airport. That's irrelevant for them. You need to know how to talk about it. There's something I always tell my students is that it's not what you know, it's what you show. And in the test is a bit difference. It's not really what you show, it's how you show it. So this is how we're gonna do. The difference between a level 4 and a level 5 is the level 5 shows better. They have a better presentation of what they're gonna talk about. That's the only difference. It doesn't mean that the level 5 knows more about aviation, that the level 4 doesn't know anything, that the level 3 is not a pilot. The only thing is how you show it. And this is what I want you guys to grasp here. So let's start with the terminal. Of course, let's start with the most populated area of an airport. So basically, a terminal is a building with passenger facilities. Small airports have one terminal, and the large ones have often multiple terminals. You guys might have experienced or been to airports where they even have train stations in the airport, right? Sometimes they have 8 terminals in one. So the terminal has a series of gates which provide passengers access to the airplane. So what is a gate? A gate is a way of accessing an airplane. That's all it is. In terminals, we can find the following services: check-in facilities, including baggage drop-off, security clearance, passport control, customs, waiting areas, lounges, and restaurants. So you see, when we talk about airport, oh God, I don't have anything in mind. If you think about terminal, there are so many things. What do you think about the airports in the future? Well, airports will be better, especially the terminal. I believe that the check-in facilities will receive great technology, which will reduce the bureaucracy and the waiting times. And also the security clearance areas are going to use facial recognition and artificial intelligence. And I also think that passport control and customs will be done automatically after passengers going through a gate, maybe. And also the waiting area, lounges, the restaurants will continue to exist and just be improved. That's all I do. I didn't say anything. I don't know how the future of airports are gonna be like, but I know about I know about terminals, and I know the four areas I can mention. So if for me it's easy to talk about terminals, I'm always gonna get the questions about airports and bring it to the terminals, right? You dictate wherever the question is going. So after the terminal, let's go for the embarking area, which is more a technical area, which is something that we know more about. Let's say that the embarking area and disembarking, of course, depends on it's a vector issues here. So passengers normally wait at their assigned gates and embark the aircraft via jet bridges or air stairs. There also needs to be a baggage handling system to transport baggage, dollies and conveyor belts, right? So you already know, guys. I want to know the words here. I'm not going to give you the words. I want you guys to give me the words. What is the name of this? How can I call this? Jet bridge. Thank you. I thought people were gonna say finger here. I would be very mad. It's a jet bridge, okay? We don't use finger. Finger is only in Brazil. I don't know another place that uses finger, that calls it fingers. All right, this is a jet bridge, a jetway, an air bridge. What about this? Air stairs. Air stairs, perfect. Guys, just something here for your structure points. We don't have a singular stair. For example, I can see an air stair. No, I can see some air stairs. It's always plural. It can be one truck. There are air stairs there. Okay, it's always plural. Yeah. Because stairs, for example, I'm gonna draw. This is a stair. These are stairs. All right. So it's always gonna be a plural format for us. What about this one? What are these? Dollies. Perfect. Dollies. I think my team posted about this yesterday, right? In Instagram. I think I saw that post. And what about this one? Conveyor belt. Conveyor belt. How do you spell it? Nobody knows. Conveyor belt, all right? So guys, this is basically something I want you guys to know. Let's forget the test for a second. You're all pilots here, or else there's no reason for you to be watching this class, right? So you're all pilots here, and it's a bit embarrassing not to know the names, isn't it? Like I would feel a little bit embarrassed. Oh, I don't know how that's called. Come on, you're a pilot. Your job is in an airport. How are you gonna be in an airport? How are you gonna know what you're doing if you don't even know the name of the equipment you have besides you? Oh, it's not my area. I'm not a ground staff. Doesn't matter. You need to know, right? So you need to know that these are dollies. You need to know that this is a conveyor belt. You need to know that these are air stairs. This is a jet bridge. Come on, you guys are pilots. If you're not flying for an airline, if you're not flying a big jet, I'm sure that's your goal, in a way. And every pilot likes operating in big airports. So if you're in a big airport, if that's your dream, if that's something you would like doing in the future, I would start by knowing what you're gonna have around you. So always know the names. All right, vocabulary is extremely important for life to communicate, but it's even more important when you're talking about your profession. All right, let's raise the standards a little bit here. So we talked about the terminal, we talked about the embarking area. After that, we have the parking area. So basically, this is the area where airplane park to embark or disembark the passengers and load the cargo. It's known as the apron or ramp. We will not call this a tarmac. I'm gonna explain soon, right? Most of you have already know why, but I'm gonna mention this. There are two parking options: the parking stands or remote areas. That's it. So When we talk about people, we embark people, all right? Or we disembark, or we board people. When we talk about cargo, we don't embark cargo, we load the cargo. Or unload. That's what we do. We load or we unload the cargo. Okay? So we talked about the terminal, the embarking area, the parking area. We can have the aircraft attached to the gate. We can have the aircraft attached to the gate, all right? Or we can have them in a remote position. I don't have anyone here, and we can have the helicopter here in the helipad. It's a four-bladed rotor helicopter. And this is the terminal. So the passengers are here in the terminal. They access the aircraft through the gates. The jet bridge normally connects the gate to the aircraft, and the aircraft is parked in a parking stand. Here we can see a refueling truck, dollies, a service vehicle. Maybe these are unit loading devices or ground power units, and this is a designated area for them. This is the center line. These are the service roads. This is the general parking position. So you see, these are things we need to know. These are things I would really appreciate if you knew, because, as I said, forget the test a little bit. Most of you even have the ICAO level already. Let's think about us as pilots, all right? Easy? Can I continue? Send me a go ahead or something. And if you have any questions, guys, you can ask. Yep.
Let's go.
Easy work. Let's go.
Easy.
Let's talk about the movement area now. We are going to become a bit more operational. And when we talk about the movement area, it's basically where airplanes and vehicles move around the airport, right? When we talk about the vehicles, the cars, the vans, the trucks, they use service roads. When we talk about airplanes, they use the taxiways and the runways, all right? So the cars go through a service road, they go through service roads. The airplanes use the taxiways and runways. That's how they take off, land, and move around the airport. Everything together, we can call that the movement area. So, how can airport authorities increase runway safety? This is a very hard question they have in the test. Well, basically, they can protect the movement area, invest in bigger parking positions, so airplanes can taxi, they can get in and get off safely without the risk of a ground collision. They must also invest in new pavement, install grooving systems, clear areas, and have the runway clear of obstacles on both sides. That's how they can do it. We're gonna answer everything after I stop the recording, all right? I'm gonna help you guys with this. So, after parking, movement area, cars, service roads, airplanes. Sorry, there's someone trying to get in. Airplanes will taxi through, will go through taxiways and runways. Roger. Now, why don't we have tarmac? I know most of you have heard the word tarmac. I'm here in the tarmac. We don't use that anymore, all right? Because tarmac is not the name of the area. This is an apron. This is an apron. This is the ramp. This is the parking position, whatever you want to call it. But people use it to call this tarmac in the past because that was the material used in the ground. All right, they use it tarmac on the ground. But this is actually a brand's name, it's a company's name. So we don't call it tarmac anymore. Of course, I'm talking about the correct side, the technical aspect of everything. Actually, actually, some older pilots they still call it tarmac. So normally when you hear tarmac, you can already imagine it's a guy with a white mustache calling it "I'm on the tarmac." It's not useful anymore, right? Nobody uses it anymore. So whenever you see a picture of an airport, this is what I want you to have in mind. I want you to see the airport, of course, but I also want you to make a breakdown. For example, here, a normal person, a non-aviation professional, would see an airport. Okay, this is a sketch of an airport. Not for you. Here, you can see the threshold, the runway designators, the center line, the runway. This is probably the holding point. Maybe it's here, the holding point. These are the taxiways. This is the apron. This is the terminal. These are the jet bridges. And this is basically an area for commercial aircraft, for airlines maybe, right? Always make this breakdown. Remember, there is no irrelevant vocabulary in the test. There's no such thing. Every word is important. Everything you mention is going to be important for them. Okay? Until now. Easy? Piece of cake? It's piece of cake for you, and you already know this. 767 pilot. Airport areas. Let's describe the picture now. I have already done this picture with you guys in the last class, I believe. Not the last one, but when we talked about this. And guys, I'm gonna come back on this and show you guys how I describe pictures. Teach you a little technique here. But this is normally the kind of picture that pilots cannot describe. They don't know. They don't know how to deal with this. They don't know how to describe this picture because there's nothing special going on. And I've been preparing you guys the entire class for this. And remember what I said, a breakdown. This is the normal view. This is how most people will look at the picture, you know. But this is how I want you to look at the picture. This is macro. It's hard to describe a picture when you're looking at everything because you don't have a direction to follow. Now, I want to make a big breakdown here. So I'm always looking at this, and then I have this area, and then I have this area, and then I have this area, and then I have this, the aircraft, of course. Then I have this area, and then I have the aircraft in the background, another terminal, and this. This is what I see when I look at a picture. I don't look at everything. I focus on this, I focus on this, I focus on this. And since I'm following the picture, I'm just following whatever I can see. I don't need to look at the entire picture. I need to scan the picture and mention everything. And that's how we're going to do it. So, for example, most people, when they look at this aircraft, they say, oh, I can see an airplane parked in the terminal. Come on. Look at how much vocabulary you just wasted. Now is your chance to impress. Now is your chance to show them vocabulary. So, this is not an airplane. This is a low-wing, twin-engine, wide-body passenger aircraft. So look, you can get maybe a level 3 or level 4 by saying you can see an airplane. Or you can dazzle them, you can impress everybody by saying you can see a twin-engine, wide-body, low-wing, passenger aircraft. Who has more chance? The guy who said airplane or the one that said everything? You used one vocabulary, you could have used 4, maybe 5. And then, since you're not making a good breakdown of the aircraft, you lose your time with the color. And you say, oh, this is an airplane, the color is white, the belly is blue. Come on, we don't need the colors. I can see a wide body. It's a low wing, twin engine, wide body passenger aircraft operated by British Airways. I have half of the picture with just one airplane. And that's how I got a 6. That's how I got a 5. With simple things put together. That's how we're going to do it, right? So basically, if I had to describe this picture, I would say that I can see an aircraft in the terminal. In the front part, I can see a conveyor belt, a service vehicle, a service road, ground equipment, air stairs, dollies, people loading the airplane, a pushback truck, a jet bridge, a low-wing, twin-engine, wide-body aircraft, 4 airplanes parked on the terminal. The sky was overcast. We put everything together. That's how we do it. So in this picture, I can see an aircraft parked on the apron. Wide body airplane, which means that it has 2 aisles. Good, perfect. Look at what Dario just sent me. You can even say it's a wide body airplane, which means that it has 2 aisles. That's it. It has 2 aisles. That's what you need, right? So how would I describe this picture? I want to impress. I want to show that I have vocabulary. I want to do a good job. I'm comfortable. So I'm going to risk something here. So, well, in this picture, you can see an aircraft parked on the apron. In the front part, I can see a conveyor belt, a service vehicle facing a service road. There are some ground equipment, a pushback truck, and air stairs in front of the aircraft. I can also see some dollies or unit loading devices with a ramp agent and some people in a cargo lift loading the airplane. This is a low-wing, wide-body aircraft, which means they have 2 aisles, twin engine in a passenger configuration. It's operated by British Airways, and I can see the jet bridge attached to the airplane. In the background, I can tell it was raining because the apron is wet. There are also 4 airplanes attached to another terminal, and the sky was overcast. Visibility was restricted by drizzle. This picture was taken during the day. When you put everything together, it sounds complex. It sounds impossible to do, and it's a matter of practice, guys. I can describe this picture without looking. That's how many times I've done it already. So that's what I want you. That's what I want from you. So when you study the pictures, when you study something, I don't want you to have 10, 20 pictures in front of you and just describe 20 pictures once. I want you to have 2 pictures and describe each picture 20 times. That's how we improve. Repetition. Remember when you guys were in your private pilot's flight training when you did the touch and go landings? It was around what, 6, 7 landings per hour, and you did around 10 hours. So you had to do around 70 landings before having your solo flight. You didn't become good at landing because you studied landings, because you had a book and you understood all the rules for landings. No, you practiced over and over and over and over and over and over until it became natural. And this is the biggest thing, in my opinion, of course, and from what I've been seeing in people, this is the biggest obstacle from people that make people not speak English, that prevents people from getting their IKEA level. They don't do it enough. They describe one picture, they go to the other one, they answer one question, they go to the other one, and then in the end, they didn't learn anything. They did one time everything. No, I want you to do 20 times one thing. Become good at one picture, because if you become good at this picture, you already have maybe 50% of the pictures done. Because, guys, only in the simulator pictures, every picture is going to have an airplane. And every time you look at an airplane, you can describe it like this. You're always going to pass the test. It doesn't matter when is your test, you're going to pass it. Okay? Did I
Super.
Yep.
Só falando mais um pouco da picture description, né? Que antes de eu começar o curso com você lá em setembro, eu tinha uma dificuldade enorme, porque todos os meus amigos que a gente sentava para estudar e fazia uma descrição de imagem, todo mundo ficava demorando 2 minutos e meio para fazer uma descrição e eu ficava tipo, o meu demorava 30, 40 segundos. Eu ficava tipo, meu Deus, estou fazendo muito errado.
Uhum.
Só que ao mesmo tempo eu ficava, putz, os caras estão falando que estão vendo um blue car, carro azul, tá falando que tá vendo uma green tree.
Uhum.
E eu não concordava, sabe? Porque,
Uhum.
tipo, pra mim, você tá indo fazer uma prova técnica, né?
Yeah.
Você tem que demonstrar vocabulário técnico sobre determinado assunto. Então, isso aqui é um loading, né? Você tem que falar sobre isso. Você não tem que falar que a fuselagem do avião é branca com vermelho e azul. Você não precisa demonstrar cores. E, inclusive, isso foi uma coisa que você desmistificou muito durante as nossas aulas, né? Você lembra que eu tinha dificuldade, eu queria complicar tudo justamente por conta disso.
Uhum.
E fica aí, talvez, essa
Perfect.
dica para o pessoal, igual
E,
você fez hoje. Você falou sobre a imagem em 30 segundos, falou sobre as coisas técnicas, as coisas necessárias.
e que
Mostrou
nota
que o
você tirou?
vocabulário é isso.
E que nota você tirou?
Eu tirei o 5.
Isso é tudo meritíssimo. That's it.
That's it.
We focus on what matters. We focus on what is important. You're not gonna show them you're good if you say that the tree is green and I can see a white car with blue stripes and I can see the ground equipment 1, 2, 3 yellow. Come on, guys, let's be technical, all right? Oh, yeah, no, that's
Teacher,
yep.
só repete, como attachment significa acoplado?
Yes, attached. Attached.
Oh.
All right, attached.
Então o Danilo não foi o único. Eu tomei várias porradas também falando das cores do avião, né?
I remember well. That is the biggest thing. Is the biggest thing is that I always tell pilots stop saying the colors. After I finish the content, we're gonna talk a lot about this. I'm not gonna talk about other people, other methods, or anything because I'm being recorded. But after I shut down the recording, I can be brutally honest. So we're gonna do it. All right, guys. Let's move on. This is just simple stuff. Airport security. I just put this as an extra here, just so you guys have the vocabulary. So whenever we talk about airport security, surveillance cameras, sniffer dogs, body scanners, metal detectors, perimeter fences. That's what I want you to have. There are many other things. It's a division in the airport only to talk about security. It's complex, but it's not up to us. We don't need to know everything about everything. If you have these 5 vocabularies in mind, you will get a 5 in the test. So what do you think about the airport security? It's great because in most of the airports in Brazil have surveillance cameras, sniffer dogs, and we can also find body scanners, metal detectors, and they protect the movement area by using perimeter fences. What do you think about airport security in the future? Well, it will be a lot better. I think they will have improved surveillance cameras. They will continue to use sniffer dogs. Body scanners will be enhanced, so pilots won't have to take out their jewelry or anything like that. And metal detectors will also be improved a lot to detect anything. And I also think that perimeter fences will be higher to avoid people from jumping into the airport. I didn't say anything. I just used the vocabulary and showed it would be better. That's how I talk about this. All right. One question just to finish. I know that most of you have this problem when we talk about the opinions about things. And this is what I want you to have. So, what do you think about airport security in Brazil? When we talk about security, we talk about crimes, we talk about terrorism or whatever. So, this is how you win every time with the vocabulary. The rest is just introduction. What do you think about security in Brazilian airports? I think it is great because there are lots of procedures. For example, in our major airports, in the main airports, in the principal airports, we have metal detectors, sniffer dogs, X-ray scanners, police officers, safe areas for the passengers, and every luggage goes through an inspection before entering the airplane. This is a level 5, maybe even a level 6. How do we talk about the future? So how do you think what do you think about the airport security in the future in Brazil, in Portugal, or whatever? I know that today I need to change some things because I have many students today from Portugal, and it's the same test, same thing. The structure is just a little bit different, but always the same topic. So I know you, Miguel, is here. You're from Portugal. You're from Lisbon, I think. Porto, I forgot. uh, Porto. You're from Porto. My wife wants to go to Porto. I'll probably be there in a couple of years. When you hear Brazilian, just change for Portuguese. So what do you think about the security in Portuguese airports? I think it's great, especially here in Porto. We have metal detectors, sniffer dogs, and whatever, right? And what do you think about the security in today? Nah, I don't like it. I think that it needs to improve because in the majority of the regional airports, there aren't security measures. For example, I use the same words. My goal in the test is taking the answer until I'm safe enough to bring examples. That's what I do. I will always switch everything to the examples. That's all I do, all the time. When you have examples, you have everything. So, security staff, metal detectors, X ray scanners, perimeter fences, authorities, and that's it. All right? Guys, that's it for the content. Wait here 1 second. I'm just going to turn off the recording, say goodbye for everybody, and then we are going to talk a little bit more. All right? Guys, this is the end of the recording. This is the end of the class here. This is the content I've prepared for you today. We talked about airport, the areas, the purpose of each area. We described the picture and even talked about security in the end. I'm going to close the recording now, continue talking to these guys here. I'm going to give them some extra tips on how to answer, how to talk about this. Hopefully this class helped you, and if you want to join us, we're here every Thursday. Just go through bookings and book your slot.